Did you know that France's forest area alone is nearly twice the size of Portugal? Or that if you drive 80 to 90 kilometers per hour nonstop along France's metropolitan land borders, starting at Belgium and finishing at Spain, it would take you roughly 30 to 35 hours to complete. How about the fact that you can fit the Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, Portugal, and the UK into mainland France and still have some room to spare? Or that the largest river delta in Western Europe is located in France? France's geography is filled with wild facts and strange surprises you never expect. So get ready, because we are about to explore 15 France geography facts that seem fake but are true. Fact 15. France has the third highest shared land border in Europe. France shares its land boundaries with 8 countries in Europe. Starting in the northeast, if you move eastward, you'll first encounter Belgium, traveling roughly 556 kilometers across their shared border, then Luxembourg, which is smaller, with a border of about 69 kilometers. Further east, France borders Germany for about 418 kilometers and Switzerland for 525 kilometers. Keep going southeast and Italy appears with its 476 kilometers of border touching France. Heading southwest, you find Spain sharing a significant 646-kilometer border. Sandwiched between France and Spain is the tiny mountainous microstate of Andorra, which shares a neat 55-kilometer border with France. Also in the southeast, France has the smallest border with Monaco, just 6 kilometers, nestled along the Mediterranean coast. Excluding its overseas territories, France is the third highest country in Europe with the most land borders. For some perspective, if you drive 80 to 90 kilometers per hour nonstop along France's metropolitan land borders, starting at Belgium and finishing at Spain, it would take you roughly 30 to 35 hours to complete. This is longer than driving across the entirety of Great Britain from north to south. If you travel inland just a few kilometers from these borders, you would encounter France's famous rivers, which brings us to our next fact. Fact 14. France has 5 major rivers that flow into the sea. The Garonne, at nearly 600 kilometers long, is one of the 5 major rivers in France, all of which eventually empty into the sea. Moving north, you'd encounter the Seine River, famously winding through the heart of Paris before making its way to the English Channel at Le Havre. The Seine is around 777 kilometers long and plays a crucial role not only geographically but culturally, as it has inspired countless artists and poets. Heading southeast, the Rhone River originates in the Swiss Alps and travels over 800 kilometers, pouring its waters into the Mediterranean Sea through a vast delta called the Camargue. Traveling further north and northeast, you'd find the Loire River, France's longest river at 1,006 kilometers, often called the Garden of France because of the beautiful castles and fertile lands along its banks. Lastly, the Rhine River forms part of the natural border between France and Germany in the northeast and is one of Europe's busiest waterways, vital for trade and transportation. If you head towards the border between France and Italy and Switzerland, you'd confront the towering giants of the Alps. Among these majestic peaks is Mont Blanc, which leads us to our next fact. Fact 13. Mont Blanc is the highest mountain in Western Europe. Standing at a staggering 4,807 meters, about 15,771 feet, Mont Blanc is the highest peak in Western Europe. This mountain area has been a subject of dispute for many years. French authorities claim Mont Blanc's summit is fully within French territory based on historical treaties and maps, while Italian authorities argue the border runs along the watershed line, which would split the summit between the two countries. Modern Swiss maps show a disputed territory surrounding the summit, but geographically, Mont Blanc's summit is shared by France and Italy. Just to imagine how tall it is, it's about 3 times higher than the highest mountain in the UK, Ben Nevis, which is only 1,345 meters tall. If you were to climb Mont Blanc, you would be standing on the rooftop of Western Europe with snow-covered glaciers and breathtaking views as far as the eye can see. However, if you venture out into the French countryside, you'll notice the vast stretches of dense green forest that cover a substantial part of the country, which leads us to Fact 12. Fact 12. About 32% of France's land area is covered by forest. As of 2023, about 32% of France's land area is covered by forest, totaling approximately 17.5 million hectares. This makes forestation the second largest land use in France after agricultural land, which covers over half the country's territory. To put this into perspective, only a handful of countries like Sweden and Finland surpass it with extensive forest land that surpasses 60%. These forests range from dense pine woods in the mountainous south of Corsica to ancient oaks in the northern parts and the famous forests surrounding Paris like Fontainebleau. The growth of these forests over the last 2 centuries is also remarkable. Back in the 1800s, France had about half the forest it has now. This expansion was largely due to rural depopulation and changes in farming practices after World War II. Some regions, especially in southern France and Corsica, have forest cover rates reaching more than 55%, while others in the west are less wooded. So, if you travel from the sunny Mediterranean region of Alpes-Maritimes northwards towards Brittany, you'll be moving through some of the most heavily forested lands in France. To visualize the size, France's forest area of 17.5 million hectares is nearly twice the size of Portugal, or about 2/3 the size of the U.S. state of Oregon. This extensive forest land plays a vital role in carbon sequestration, absorbing about 87 million tons of CO2 each year, which accounts for nearly 19% of France's total greenhouse gas emissions. Fact 11. The second highest waterfall in Europe is located in France. The Gavarnie Falls is the second highest waterfall in Europe. Nestled deep in the Pyrenees Mountains in southwestern France, the Gavarnie waterfall plunges an astonishing 422 meters, about 1,385 feet, in a spectacular freefall. To understand how impressive this is, consider that Niagara Falls drops about 51 meters, so the Gavarnie waterfall is over 8 times higher. Surrounded by towering cliffs and steep mountain faces, it forms a natural amphitheater known as the Cirque de Gavarnie, listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its breathtaking beauty and geological significance. Fact 10. France has more time zones than any other country in the world. Many people believe that because France looks like a medium-sized country on the European map, it would have just one time zone like its neighbors, but that's not true. France actually has the most time zones in the world when you count all its territories globally. Mainland France sticks to Central European time, which is a bit surprising because it lies geographically west of countries like Germany or Italy. So many expect it should follow the same time as the UK or Portugal, which is 1 hour behind, but this isn't the case. Despite its western position, France sticks with CET, which is one of the time zones furthest east in Europe, putting it on the same time as countries far to the east like Poland. When you now include overseas territories spread across the Caribbean, South America, the Indian Ocean, the Pacific, and Antarctica, France spans an incredible 12 time zones. To put that into perspective, Russia, known for its huge landmass, covers 11 time zones. So, if you could hypothetically travel with the sun in France's lands, you could experience mornings in Guadeloupe and evenings in French Polynesia, all in one trip. Moving from time and global reach to the size of the country itself, we come to our next fact. Fact 9. France is the largest country in the European Union. Metropolitan France is the largest country in the European Union and the third largest in Europe entirely, covering about 551,695 square kilometers. You can comfortably fit the Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, Portugal, and the UK into mainland France and still have some room to spare. But just like with time zones, France's real geographical size gets even more impressive once you factor in its overseas departments and territories. These additional lands add about 90,000 square kilometers. So, combining mainland France with these far-flung territories, the total area vastly increases, making France the second largest country in Europe when measured this way. Fact 8. The largest river delta in Western Europe is located in France. If you travel south, roughly 700 kilometers from Paris, you'll encounter one of the most fascinating natural features in Europe, the Rhone River Delta, known as the Camargue. The Rhone River, which begins high in the Swiss Alps, travels roughly 812 kilometers through southeastern France before it spreads out into two large branches at Arles, forming this vast delta that empties into the Mediterranean Sea. To put this into perspective, the Camargue covers more than 930 square kilometers, making it the largest river delta in Western Europe. This vast wetland is a unique blend of saltwater lakes, marshes, reed-covered swamps, and cultivated fields, all protected under the Camargue Regional Nature Park since 1927. But what really makes the Camargue famous beyond its size and geographical importance are its wild white horses and the stunning pink flamingos that flock there every year. The Camargue horses are known for their beauty and strength, roaming freely in this marshy environment for centuries. The Camargue is also home to one of the precious few European habitats where flamingos breed and thrive. With over 400 species of birds recorded in the area, it's considered a birdwatcher's paradise and one of the world's most important wetlands, protected internationally since 1986 under the Ramsar Convention. Now, shifting from the flat and watery Camargue to much of France's countryside landscape, you'll discover something truly amazing about France's geography. Fact 7. A large part of France's countryside consists of gently rolling hills. Large parts of France's rural heartland are made up of soft, smooth hills rather than sharp mountain peaks or flat plains. These rolling hills stretch across regions like Burgundy, Normandy, and the Loire Valley, creating idyllic countryside scenes. These hills are perfect for growing vineyards, orchards, and various crops, which contributes to why France is one of the world's top wine producers and agricultural exporters. The gentle slopes help with drainage and soil quality, allowing farmers to cultivate everything from grapes for wine to wheat and lavender. This countryside is what many people picture when they imagine a peaceful rural France, full of quaint villages, meadows, and winding country roads. Fact 6. The Massif Central is an ancient volcanic plateau. If you travel about 200 kilometers west from the Camargue, you'll enter a completely different landscape, the Massif Central. This region is an ancient volcanic plateau that covers roughly 15% of mainland France. The Massif Central is home to extinct volcanoes, which erupted thousands to millions of years ago. These volcanoes belong to different eruptive types like Hawaiian, Pelian, and Strombolian, each with unique characteristics. For example, Hawaiian volcanoes produce fluid lava flows, creating broad, gentle landscapes, while Pelian volcanoes are known for more explosive eruptions and pyroclastic flows that can shape steep, rugged terrain. Strombolian volcanoes create spectacular bursts and lava fountains, leaving behind distinctive volcanic cones. However, if you want to explore an active volcano in the country, you have to travel thousands of kilometers southeast across the Indian Ocean to the island of Réunion. Fact 5. The island of Réunion has one of the most active volcanoes in the world. This small French island, located east of Madagascar, is home to one of the world's most active volcanoes, Piton de la Fournaise. Considered one of the most active volcanoes globally, Piton de la Fournaise erupts regularly, sometimes several times a year. The volcano rises to about 2,632 meters above sea level. However, its eruptions rarely pose serious threats to the island's population. Réunion's volcano is a prime example of a shield volcano, which produces vast flows of lava that extend gently from the summit, building massive, broad mountains. From the island of Réunion, head northwest about 12,100 kilometers as the crow flies, you'll reach French Guiana on the northeast coast of South America, where our next fact awaits. Fact 4. French Guiana has one of the richest tropical rainforests and unique biodiversity in the world. French Guiana is one of the most fascinating overseas regions of France. Covering an area of around 83,500 square kilometers, roughly the size of Austria, French Guiana is almost entirely cloaked in dense tropical rainforest, making it one of the greenest and wildest places under French governance. About 98.9% of French Guiana is covered by pristine rainforest, part of the Greater Amazon Basin, one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet. To put its biodiversity in perspective, French Guiana is home to thousands of species of plants, insects, birds, and mammals, many of which are rare or found nowhere else on Earth. It is often ranked as one of the richest natural habitats worldwide. For example, the Guiana Amazonian Park, which takes up an astonishing 41% of the territory, is the largest national park in the European Union and one of the most expansive tropical parks globally. It houses jaguars, giant river otters, harpy eagles, and countless other wildlife marvels. Fact 3. The Jura and Vosges Mountains acted as natural barriers in historical times. If you travel east from the heart of France toward the border with Germany, you'll encounter the Jura and Vosges Mountains, two important mountain ranges that have served as natural barriers throughout history. The Jura Mountains form a gentle chain along the French-Swiss border and are known for their rounded peaks and dense forest. Just a little further north and east, the Vosges Range rises along the border between France and Germany. These mountains might not be as tall as the Alps, but they have been crucial in shaping the history of the region. The Vosges, with their thick forests and rugged terrain, formed a natural obstacle that separated the Latin-speaking lands of France from Germanic regions. For instance, during conflicts like the Franco-German Wars and both World Wars, the Vosges were a strategic defensive line, often contested fiercely due to their position. Their mountain passes, like the Col de la Chaloupe, served as critical points of communication and military routes. However, if you head southeast over 800 kilometers toward the Mediterranean Sea, you'll reach the island of Corsica, where another geographical marvel awaits. Fact 2. Corsica has the highest mountain ranges found in French territory outside the mainland. The island's highest peak, Monte Cinto, reaches an elevation of 2,706 meters, 8,878 feet, making it the tallest mountain on Corsica, as well as the highest peak in the Mediterranean islands. Corsica is often called the mountain in the sea because of its rugged terrain and numerous peaks exceeding 2,000 meters. There are about 120 such peaks across the island. This mountainous terrain is concentrated mainly in the Montecino Massif in the northwest of the island. Other notable peaks around Montecino include Monte Rotondo, 2,622 meters, and Punta Mufrena, 2,590 meters. To put this into perspective, while the Alps contain the highest mountains in mainland France, Corsica's peaks are the highest found in French territory outside the mainland. The island's distinct geography also creates diverse microclimates, where you can experience Mediterranean warmth near the coast and cooler alpine conditions just a few kilometers inland. Speaking of warm Mediterranean regions, just a short journey along the coastline brings you to one of the most famous and sunniest parts of Europe's coastline. Fact 1. The French Riviera is one of the warmest and sunniest parts of Europe's coastline. The French Riviera, also known as the Côte d'Azur, is widely regarded as one of the warmest and sunniest parts of Europe's coastline. Geographically, the French Riviera lies along the Mediterranean Sea in southeastern France, bordered by the Alps to the north. This positioning is key to its climate. The Alps block cold northern winds, creating a natural shield that prevents harsh winter weather from reaching the coast. Also, the Mediterranean Sea acts as a heat reservoir, warming the air during the cooler months and moderating temperatures year-round. The French Riviera enjoys approximately 2,500 to 2,800 hours of sunshine annually, which translates to about 290 sunny days a year. Rainfall is moderate, around 1,100 millimeters annually, mostly concentrated in the autumn and spring, while summers are typically dry. This combination of geographic sheltering by the Alps, the thermal moderation by the Mediterranean Sea, and positioning at relatively low latitudes, roughly 43 degrees north, makes the French Riviera Europe's premier sunny and warm coastal destination. Its weather has attracted visitors for over 2 centuries, making it one of the world's oldest and most famous tourist resorts. If you enjoyed these crazy facts about France, there are more where these came from. Just subscribe to our channel and wait for our next upload. While you wait, watch our earlier video, Why Europe's Geography is So Unique. Trust me, you'll be entertained. Tap your screen right now to watch. Thanks for watching.